Hey, this is Jenny Whitaker coming at you, Club J Dub. Today is March 18th, and today I want to talk about addiction. I'm not an expert on anything. I'm definitely not an expert on addiction, but I do have some experience personally with addiction and some family members and friends that have been addicted to different things. So that's what I want to talk about today. So let's see. Here's a list of things that I have been addicted to. I started smoking cigarettes at a very young age. My mom she'd be on the phone or mowing the lawn. Hey, Jenny, light a cigarette and bring it to me. So I would light her cigarette and I would smoke half of it and bring it to her. So I got addicted to nicotine and cigarettes at an early age. I think the first time I got drunk was on lime vodka, which was disgusting. I think I was 9 years old. My parents were having kind of a house party get together. A friend of mine and I got into some vodka and I got really drunk. I mean, really stupid drunk, blackout, pukey drunk at a very young age. I think I was 9 when that happened. So that started that addiction. What else? I was introduced to marijuana. I think I was maybe 15 and I was at a house party and was introduced to marijuana when I was drunk. So you know how that always ends. Smoked some weed, got really, really sick, but tried it again without being drunk and loved that. So I was addicted to marijuana for a long, long time. Shortly after that, I was introduced to mushrooms at another house party. I think it was at the same house, but a different party. But anyway, was introduced to mushrooms and was with a good group of people. Anyway, really enjoyed that. And so then a while after that, I took acid for the first time. So I went through a kind of a hallucinogenic phase. Let's see, and then I came to college where I live now here in Bozeman and kept drinking, kept smoking, whatever. I can't remember how old I was when I was introduced to speed. First in the form of mini thins. If anyone remembers mini thins, you used to be able to buy them at the convenience stores, grocery stores. And so we would party taking mini thins, and they were just a speed. I don't even know what was in them. Caffeine and ephedrine. I think it was ephedrine. Anyway, loved speed. And then shortly after that, I was actually introduced to, at the time we called it crank, but crystal meth. And yeah, I got pretty hooked on that for a while. Anyway, so I've been addicted to a lot of things throughout my life. Yeah, so I'm not an expert on it, but I know how it's affected my life, and I know how it's affected other people's lives around me. And so one thing that's really helped me, so I've been sober from alcohol for about almost 10 years. It'll be 10 years in August. And one thing that really helped me was a certain podcast. So shout out to Paul Churchill, who is from Bozeman, Montana. There's a podcast called Recovery Elevator. And when I decided to quit drinking, I binged on that podcast for days, months. And I actually ended up in recording. Paul approached me about being on that podcast, and so I believe it was episode number 87, Recovery Elevator. You can find it on all your platforms. But anyway, yeah, it's just been a long road for me. I haven't had a cigarette in how long? It's been 20 years probably since I've had a cigarette. No alcohol for 10 years. The marijuana, I've dabbled in and out of that. I just had a couple surgeries within the last couple of months, and so I was using some edibles during the time that I was at home and wasn't able to drive and couldn't go anywhere. And it's a really slippery slope for me. I get right back into the habit and the feeling and the addiction, and so I had to put those away. So I haven't been doing those. I heard a really interesting quote though on that Recovery Elevator podcast recently, and it wasn't my episode, it was a newer episode, but somebody said, no matter how far down the road you go, you're still the same distance from the ditch. Let that sink in for a second. That's so true. Here's an example for me, if I were to have a drink right now, I'd be right back in the ditch. There would not be one drink. There would be many drinks. And that's the way it's always been with me. For example, with drinking, the first time I had a drink, like I can literally feel something in my brain click and it's game on. And one, as they say, one is never enough. however the quote goes, you know what I'm talking about. Like, one was never enough. I never have had one of anything in my life as far as chemicals go. And I have a hard time understanding normal people that can have one drink and they're good with that. Like, I never drank to be social. I drank to get drunk. That's the bottom line. So anyway, I struggle with addiction, and I have my entire life. And, but I've also, I didn't go to treatment when I decided to quit drinking. I just quit one day. I just quit. And I didn't even say anything to anybody. I didn't tell my husband. I didn't tell my kids. I didn't tell anybody. I just quit. And I spent a week kind of going through the withdrawals. It wasn't horrible. I was a daily drinker, a nightly drinker. So I had some physical withdrawals, but not the terrible withdrawals. I don't recommend anyone just quit that way if you have a drinking problem, because bad things can happen. But anyway, I just gutted it out for a week, went through it, cried a lot. Anyway, didn't say anything to anybody. So yeah, if you're struggling with addiction, there's hope. And AA, I went a couple of times, and it wasn't my thing. It didn't float my boat, and I'm not going to debate AA or higher powers or any of that. But what works for you in your sobriety journey is what works for you. There's no right way, there's no wrong way. But I do know this, for me personally, there is no moderation. I've seen people go through it and try to go through it, whether it's drinking, smoking, whatever it is. It's the kiss of death when you pick it up again. No matter how many stories you tell yourself, there's not going to be just one. You're going to be right back in it. So anyway, that's my story. That's my honest, brutal, ugly story. I've done it almost all. I never did heroin. I never did ecstasy, but I did almost everything else. And I'm not proud, but it is what it is, and it's what shaped me to be who I am today. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just starting the conversation. I'd love to hear your comments. You know, Alcoholics Anonymous, the anonymous thing, I get the anonymity, and for a lot of people, that's what works for them. For me, it's been the opposite. Coming clean, being really honest about my problems, what triggers me, my rock bottom moment. I never had a DUI, I never cheated on my husband, none of those things, but my rock bottom moment was at a hotel, casino in Las Vegas when the Monte Carlo was still the Monte Carlo. Oh, I was also addicted to Ambien, because that's part of this story. So anyway, we were there. I was with my husband, and we had been drinking. He's more or less a normal drinker. I'm not. We had been drinking. He went back to the room and needed to go to bed because he was doing some work training. I decided I was going to, what I said, go down to the gift shop and get some gifts for my kids, because I was flying home the next day. I was already hammered before I went down to the gift shop. I took an Ambien. I was mixing alcohol with Ambien. Not a good idea. Not smart. How I didn't die, I don't know. But anyway, I was completely messed up. Went down to the gift shop or whatever I did. Don't remember the rest of the night. I have a vague memory of trying to get into our hotel room. He was asleep. It was, I don't know what time it was, 3 a.m, and I couldn't get the little key card to work. And so I'm not proud of this. I sat down in the hallway of this multi-story casino and pretty much passed out in the hallway. I had 4 kids at this time. Anything could have happened to me. I could have been raped, killed, kidneys taken. I don't know. I was so out of it. I was out of it. My husband finally was like, "Where's Jenny?" Opened the door. Here I was laying on the floor. He was pretty unimpressed. But anyway, that was my first rock bottom moment that I was like, this is not okay. I have kids. I could have been killed. I'm not proud of it, like I say, but it was a big part of my story. Did I quit drinking immediately? No. It was probably 6 months after that I finally decided to quit drinking. Anyway, that's my story. There's more to it, but yeah, I don't know. Any nugget that you get from this, I hope it helps in some way. If it's podcasts, if it's a treatment program, if it's AA, whatever works for you, works for you. Just know what works for me is staying connected with people. I do listen to podcasts. I exercise, if you know me. Physical activity is a huge part of my story. It saved me from a lot of things, not just addiction. But whatever works for you. What doesn't work for me and has never worked for me, and if you are addicted to something, probably will not work for you, is moderation. In my opinion, there is no such thing. So anyway, that's my little nugget for today, March 18th, and I'm glad you listened to this. If you like this YouTube channel, give me a like, give me a share, give me a view, whatever works for you. for you. Just whatever. Leave a comment though down below if you have any comments on your journey, or if you'd rather stay anonymous. Stay anonymous. But yeah, thanks for listening. I'm Club J Dub. Have a great day.